Hi, this is Charles Hoskinson broadcasting live from warm, sunny Colorado. Currently snowing, but it's always warm and sunny, sometimes Colorado. The reason why I'm making this video is that there's been a huge amount of intellectual dishonesty, I think, on Reddit, Twitter, and other channels, especially coming from Ethereum maximalists or other actors in the space about the nature of DApps on Cardano. At the moment, Cardano is in the middle of its upgrade phase, getting to Goken complete. We said it's going to be 3 stages: metadata, tokens, and then full smart contract support on the Plutus side. And then over time, the ecosystem will build out and will wire on side chains and other such things. And we have this huge ecosystem. Coinbase just listed us. How about that? And there's dozens of partners around. There's hundreds of entities that want to work with us. And there, despite the fact that we don't have full programmability at the base layer, already applications like shoe authentication on New Balance or authentication of cattle with beef chain, just using metadata features of Cardano. Yet they say, what are the dApps running on Cardano? That's like saying you're opening a nightclub, you haven't opened it yet, and you say, well, how come no one's in your nightclub? It's like, we're still building it. And as if smart contracts come and there'll be no demand. We're overwhelmingly subscribed. At the moment, our company has no more capacity to service deal flow that comes in for Cardano. People come to me unless it's a super high value deal, and some have. We jump the queue. We actually say no and turn them down because we don't have the operating capacity to handle that much deal flow. And we hand it to Mergo or someone else. You look at Catalyst, there are 6 NFT marketplaces seeking funding. There are stablecoins seeking funding, some of which have already been deployed, for example, on Ergo. Oracle seeking funding, DEX is seeking funding at this moment. And we're not even at that stage yet. So we're rapidly moving, and there's an overwhelming demand in a 1 million person ecosystem with a fanatical level of enthusiasm and loyalty and passion. And despite all of that, the intellectual dishonesty is it's a ghost chain, there's nothing there. So we tweeted out an ecosystem map just to give you a sense of a small subset of the totality of the people working and doing things with us. It's very easy because we've already done it to launch smart contracts. For example, we're Ethereum core developers with the Ethereum Classic client. It worked. Sorry, the stream died. So if I wanted to, tomorrow, it would be trivial to have Ethereum-based smart contracts and port things over to Cardano. And you know where that leaves us as an ecosystem? $60 transaction fees, $100 transaction fees, yield farming, useless DeFi, NFTs selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars that are meaningless and pointless. There's nothing real, substantive, or sustainable, or long-term viable in that economic model, which is why Vitalik Buterin is moving from F2 to from F1 to F2. Now, you tell me, how many F2 applications are there? How many things are running on that network in production at scale at the moment? Oh, but don't worry, some future piece of technology will magically materialize and save the day. But yet we're not given the luxury of doing it right. Only they are, with the network effect that they get in a very ephemeral sense as a first mover. The dApp ecosystem is not healthy. The vast majority of dApps run mostly off-chain, are mostly centralized, are not in any sense governed in a way that is truly decentralized. In fact, the vast majority of the dApp logic is in the hands of a very few small group of actors. There's also a Pareto principle. There's 3,800 apps that have been deployed, best of my knowledge, on Ethereum. The vast majority of them are ghost apps. There's no use or utility with them. Only a few hundred of those applications actually consume the majority of the transaction volume on Ethereum. If you look at last year, only 31% of new DApps were built on Ethereum. The other 69% were not. And that trend will continue this year, if anything, for cost. There are very real problems with this DApp model. And if the goal is just rampant speculation, Ponzi schemes, no real use and utility, and no ability to scale to millions to billions of people, I want nothing to do with that. If the goal is to scale to millions and billions of people and change the world and actually build things that people use long term and have sustainable economics, okay, sign me up. That makes sense. And here's the reality. No one in the industry has built that yet. We're all chasing it. We're all proposing models for how to do these things. The very nature of gas has to be revisited. It is difficult to be a store of value and have a deflationary monetary policy and a staking hold culture, at the same time try to have predictable pricing for applications like Amazon does and other actors do. So there's a lot of discussions about how to accommodate that in a reasonable way. And there's a lot of really good people who wake up every day and think about these things. And what's extraordinary to me is that there's just no understanding of this reality amongst many people who occupy the cryptocurrency space. Bitcoin has no DApps on it. It's the most valuable piece of real estate in cryptocurrency land. There you go. So you tell me, there is no correlation at the moment between DApp use and utility and the actual pricing of these assets. We still live in speculation land. I'm proud of Plutus. I'm proud of extended UTXO. I'm proud of the models that we're bringing out. I'm proud of how we're approaching sidechains. I'm proud of how we think about computation. I'm proud of the fact that there's this gargantuan ecosystem that's waiting for us to get to that point where smart contracts come on the chain. And everything is transparent out in the open. If you go to Cardano updates, you can see we're #1 for GitHub commits. You can see a huge amount of progress day by day towards that benchmark. Meaning we're almost there. So after we get there, look at 3 months to 6 months. Merry hard fork happens. 1,300 tokens have already been issued on Cardano, as predicted. Huge amount of effort. We'll probably close out the year with 10,000 to 20,000, many of which connected to real projects and interesting use and utility, if not more. When we launched the metadata standard, there's websites you can go to like cardanowall.com that shows you how much use that standard has. And this is just the beginning. And that was pre-infrastructure for Prism, the identity solution, and for Plutus, the smart contract stack. Where's the discussion about that? Today, right now, Cardano moves as much economic value as Ethereum does, despite its market cap being 5 times smaller. And despite that, our transaction fees are in the thousands of dollars, not $25 million. When smart contracts launch, we will see a gargantuan increase in the amount of value that is transaction moved, especially when those multi-assets actually are connected to projects in market that are listed, and our transaction fees will still stay very low. Ethereum will be very high because we built the system right. And we know exactly where to go to get the system to the next level. We know exactly what type of innovation is required and how to scale up that innovation. And we know the scientists we need to work with, and we know the things that we need to do. So it just perplexes me sometimes, the statements that are made and the outlook and viewpoints that people have. Because at the end of the day, this has nothing to do with vision, progress, or tangible real-life things. This has to do with fanboyism, and this has to do with financial incentives for everyone else to fail except for the tokens that they hold. If this is the totality of our industry will fail. I'm completely convinced of that. There is no reason for rational human beings to join the cryptocurrency space. If our actual goal is to build things that change people's lives and are useful and will be used for decades to come, we must do things differently. We have to get rid of maximalism. We have to actually listen to what people are saying. We told every single person up front what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. We showed them doing it month by month, update by update, video by video, and it's all there. And then somehow people come and they get surprised when we're doing it. It's because they're not listening. They choose not to listen. And they just invent parallel realities, and they say things that are convenient and fun to them. So anyway, tune into the Cardano 360 episode at the end of this month. I think people will be very happy with that, very happy with the progress. And I will remind you that Catalyst is here, Fund 3 is here, Fund 4 is coming, and hundreds of DApps and ecosystems will be funded this year from that framework. And if you are a developer and you want to write Plutus code, sign up for the Plutus Pioneers program. If you are a developer in the Ethereum space and you want to deploy Ethereum-like code on Cardano, start using our DevNets. We already have an EVM DevNet, and we have the Yella DevNet. If you are a developer from a mainstream programming language, in the coming months, we'll have much to say about how do you get on over. And this year, we will see dozens or hundreds of high utility, high impact, very useful applications deployed on Cardano. It's just that simple. We will also see dozens, if not hundreds, of high utility, high impact tokens issued on Cardano with our native multi-asset standard. That's just a fact. That's what's going to happen. The industry will continue moving the goalpost. If people come from the Ethereum maximalist side or other ecosystems that are doing it, then it'll be some other vanity metric. It'll be some other thing that exists, some other lie that gets told. And that's what they also do. Yesterday, people on Twitter were saying that a Cardano experienced a double spend. It didn't happen. It's just a lie. But people went and said it without any accountability at all, because that's what they want to do. When they run out of things to say, they just start making things up and start lying and so forth. And it's deeply frustrating, and it takes quite a bit of time, effort for us to chase these things down and correct the record, but it is what it is. And that's the burden one bears, being in a custodial role of an ecosystem and trying their hardest to manage these things. But what really gets me excited is the fact that our community has grown so large that the community, for the most part, takes care of itself. Used to be when FUD occurred, I'd have to get involved, IOG would have to get involved, the foundation would have to get involved. But nowadays, you guys do more often than not. And it used to be when a question was asked, we'd have to answer it. Now, more often than not, the community answers it, and it answers it in a great way. And in the coming months, as people start writing Plutus code and building Cardano applications, we're going to see a stack exchange. We're going to see books. We're going to see tutorials. We're going to see infrastructure that gets deployed. We're going to see people leaving the dumpster fire that is Ethereum and coming over to Cardano and enjoying, for the first time ever, a viable path to a real business model that doesn't require Ponzi-like economics to sustain itself. This is the dream, and we're going to get there together. We're going to build that together. But it does take a little bit of time and patience, and it does take a perspective that not everything gets done today, because the things we build are supposed to last for decades. The things that we're doing are supposed to be based on granite. If we do it differently, and to me, that's just a preposterous economic game of people rushing to get somewhere so that they can extract as much value as they can, and there's a greater idiot scenario. It makes no sense. It's immoral, it's unethical, and it should be illegal. But unfortunately, the economics of our industry are like that at the moment. That's why Homer Pepe sells for $300,000. That's why certain NFTs are selling for $6 million and $7 million. It's just a bidding game of inside baseball, no better than a boiler room in many cases. This is not a magical new real economy. It's self-dealing and whales trading amongst each other and all kinds of bizarre economics that are perverse. to create inflated expectations and inflated prices. And every single time that occurs, it collapses down. It is not sustainable to run peer-to-peer exchanges with $60 fees. It is not sustainable to have stable coins that cost you more than the value of the holdings you have of the coin to send them. Could you imagine a $20 bill? To spend it, you have to spend $30, $40. It's not sustainable. It's not real. And I'm sorry, that's not a viable smart contract model. It's a proof of concept that quickly ought to be replaced, and that quickly ought to be replaced is more than 4 years late to market, opening up a realm of competitors coming in, the Avalanches, the Algorands, the Tezoses, the Polkadots, and others, giving all of us an opportunity to take that market share. Now, we in the Cardano space have always taken an approach of broaden the market, bring new people in, make Cardano the first ecosystem these people have been part of. Others choose to fight over a sum-zero game and try to move some from one part of the pie to another part. And okay, the combination of both will probably make you successful, and different agents within the Cardano ecosystem focus on different things. But the things that we have designed and developed, we spent years on and thought deeply about, and we're very confident allow us to get to the levels that we need to get at in terms of performance, use, utility, as well as a path to correctness, meaning that when applications are constructed, they're built well. We call that the island. We recognize backward compatibility makes sense. We call that the pond. And we recognize that the other 25 million developers in the world who aren't blockchain developers should have a path to come into Cardano. We call that the ocean. We are pursuing all three strategies in parallel. There is no other project in the cryptocurrency space that is currently doing this, and doing it with rigor. Yella is built with formal methods. The KEVM is built with formal methods. The code is literally extracted from formal semantics with history that has that level of rigor. For the design of Plutus, we have an AGDA specification for it. We didn't just write a fucking programming language and say, okay, good luck, everybody, like Solidity did. We actually did it like a real computer scientist would write a programming language, not just regular computer scientists, but the ones who have written programming languages in the past, such as the Haskell programming language. Despite all of that work, effort, and knowledge, and contributions to the academic literature and the engineering literature in our space, and in the whole, it's totally ignored by these people who call us a ghost chain for commercial reasons. So it is what it is, and that's where we're at as an industry. And a year from now, we won't get apologies, despite the fact that we've won. A year from now, when tons of people are building, there's a vibrant, beautiful DApp and DeFi ecosystem on Cardano with real use and utility and predictable economics, all of those critics will be nowhere to be found. They'll be in the same place as the people who said Shelley will never ship and will never get to a viable proof of stake. Ethereum is still trying to get to their proof of stake. We beat them. And in just 10 days, D equals 0, which means 100% of all the blocks in Cardano are being made with Ouroboros proofs. So mission accomplished. Block creation is being done with a true proof of stake system, and it built up exactly the way we thought it was going to build up. And the upgrade path is clear. And we'll capstone it with Omega. Just like we said, where are the people who last year were barking, saying Shelley will never ship, it's a scam, proof of stake will never come, these guys don't know what they're doing, the system can't be deployed? Where are they? They're gone. And the very same people who say the things about smart contracts will just move on to their next area to be a carnival barker, and the next area, and the next area, and the next area. There is no project in this industry that executes the way we do. We're building a new network stack, real time, that's never been done before, that's significantly better than everything else in market. We built a completely new way of designing cryptocurrencies with this formal specification approach. No other cryptocurrency has come even close to what we've accomplished there. We had to improve Haskell, the programming language itself, join the Haskell Foundation, make the Windows libraries better and other things, improve compilation to JavaScript and WebAssembly, because it wasn't quite ready or fit for purpose, but we knew if we could get it there, we'd have a huge competitive advantage in quality control. There is no other cryptocurrency that has the same upgrade mechanism with the hard fork combinator as we do. There is no other cryptocurrency that uses extended UTXO except for Ergo, which has already had great dividends and success with it as a prototype. And ours is better. There's no other cryptocurrency that has a clear path of how we're going to get mainstream languages in a sensible, sane way, and has a clear path to backwards compatibility with Ethereum in a sensible, sane way in a proper sidechain model. But we do. There's no other cryptocurrency that's been able to build a decentralized governance stack as quickly as us. Catalyst now has over 20,000 members. It started with 50. 20,000 in about 6 months of growth. And we haven't even turned on all the UI and UX stuff yet that's going to create a tsunami wave of participants and people. And we're seeing a developing expert class and so forth. All of those things and dozens more, including academic peer-reviewed research, is being done in parallel. No one sleeps. Everyone works every day, some cases 7 days a week, some cases for long stretches of time, just to make sure that we get it done. We write with more than 12 different companies, unique companies like Cuvic and Runtime Verification and Well-Typed and Twig and Atex and Bloxico and Vacuum Labs, and go down the fucking list. And each and every one of them have a part in their play. Some are formal methods engineers, some are JavaScript engineers. And that symphony has to play every day, every single day, relentlessly, to ensure that we can maintain this insane pace, which is far beyond anything of any one of our competitors, because they only choose to work on a few problems. Oh, and by the way, we also do commercial development during a pandemic when we can't even travel and we have to do Zoom meetings and so forth. And it's a lot of stress and work, but we get it done to a point where our entire deal pipeline is saturated. If I just cut it off here, as we've tried to do, it'll take us another year to 2 years just to service what's in queue. Not to mention the overwhelming waves of cold calls that we get every single day from everything from an NFT marketplace to a t-shirt company to a Fortune 500 company interested in working with us. That's where we're at. And yet we're a ghost chain, according to our critics. It's a bizarre reality. And it's so ultimately self-defeating and self-destructive as an industry. Guys, if Cardano fails, cryptocurrencies ought to fail, because we're doing everything the right way. And we're doing everything in a way that maximizes the egalitarian nature of the system, the participation of the system. It prevents cults of personality from forming, and it makes sure that there's good code across the entire stack. And we're trying to really think carefully about the sustainability of the system so that there's a decentralized treasury, a decentralized governance system. There's a clear path to upgrading. If we go out, the alternative is a centralized system ruled by a small group of people, or total chaos with no ability to evolve, and a latent, old, broken protocol like Bitcoin that never can get better because they can never get consensus to actually get better. And we'll just all have to live with the flaws and go through hell trying to build overlay protocols to get 5% of something. I played that game with Mastercoin and Color Coins. That's why Ethereum exists, because it didn't work. So we have to succeed. And you know what? There's an army of people who wake up every day. They send me these cool things like, right here, get hungry, stay hungry, came in the mail. They get tattoos. They send t-shirts. They send underwear, for God's sakes, with my face on it. It's the craziest thing. Sometimes humbling, sometimes downright scary, sometimes truly amazing, but always reminds me of the size, the quality, and the relentlessness of this entire community. The one area that I wish we could move faster is unlocking the potential of that community. But you know what? They're not going anywhere. I'm sorry. You can't tell me that when someone tattoos our logo on their body that they're fair weather. They're here for life. And there's an army of these people ready to go, fired up. And as soon as something turns on, they immediately use it. Mary Hardfork just 20 days ago turned on, over 1,300 tokens issued. Metadata came in December. You should see how much data is now on our chain and what people have done with it. The cool thing, go to Cardano Wall And when Plutus turns on, it'll be the exact same story. And look at the participation in Catalyst. Look at the size of the Reddit. Look at the size of the YouTube subscription base. Look at the level of engagement and passion. 10,000 people, 15,000 people concurrently watching something for 3 hours straight. Look at the audience viewership of Cardano 360. And this is literally just the beginning. The last time I saw engagement at this scale was Bitcoin in the 2013s and 2014s as it was surging, or Ethereum as it was surging in the early days, with so many people flowing in passion. And you know what? Within a few years, and COVID recedes, we're going to have Cardano meetup groups with thousands of people, just like Ethereum does. The difference is ours will probably be in Kampala, in Lagos, in Buenos Aires, in Tbilisi, and other places of that nature, Ulaanbaatar, as opposed to Denver and Seattle. They'll be in Denver and Seattle too, because there's plenty of Cardano fans in the United States and plenty of Cardano fans in Canada and so forth. But there's literally going to be a mixture of tens of thousands of people across the world who all get to know each other, from Alfred and his hotel in Barcelona to Vasil and his gardens in Bulgaria. Before Cardano, they didn't even know they existed. And now they're best friends. They've met each other and had spiritual experiences together. That's how big this community is and what we've done. So understand that things happen in their own time and their own pacing, and that's what we've been working on and doing. Enormous progress has been made. Tune into the Cardano 360 episode on the 25th, and I think everybody's going to be very happy with the things we say and do. And each month we get stronger. This month we are stronger than the month before, and the month before we were stronger than the month before that. The trajectory is very clear, and we're speeding up despite the fact that we chose to do things the right way. And because we chose to do things the right way, we will not be burdened with the sins of the past and the mistakes of our predecessors, which gives us an enormous competitive advantage as they scurry and try to maintain what they have, like sand slipping through their hands, and ultimately die and fail. And if you don't believe me, I want you to do something for me. Take out your BlackBerry phone, go to Yahoo on your Netscape browser, and search for your MySpace profile. Tell me how that's working for you. Right? This is how quickly things can change in the arc of history. And in crypto land, it moves fast. But the protocols, once they get set and they truly get used by millions to billions of people, like TCP/IP, they tend to stick around. We haven't reached that point yet. Even the incumbents, like Ethereum, are abandoning and moving to different grounds because they know the ones they have aren't sustainable. So there's plenty of time to get there. And all this DeFi that you see, it's not loyal to its underlying infrastructure. These businesses, these calls, are not in the game to make Joe Lubin money or Vitalik Buterin money. They are there to provide a service. If it's better, faster, cheaper, with higher liquidity and more users on our chain than another chain, they'll migrate over out of self-interest, not out of a marketing endeavor or the goodness of their heart or the fact that they really like going to Ethereal. That's the brutal reality of business. No one in the world woke up in the 2000s and said, I have to write on Windows because I like Bill Gates and Microsoft. They did it because that was the network effect and where everybody was at. And it was an understandable model. And when the models changed, most of them say Apple first, then Google, and if we have the resources, Windows. But if we have to skip one, that's the platform we skipped. And that comes from a company that was once worth $600 billion and had 98% of the entire market share for operating systems. Things change, and they change very quickly in technology. So have some patience and understand where we're going and what we're doing and why we do the things we do, and understand the ocean, the island, the pond. This is a Zen mantra. It's something that we will work on as an ecosystem for the years and decades to come. And every iteration brings more people in, and brings more capabilities into the system. But the base layers have been designed in a way where if you want to write something that's secure and correct, there's a path to do that. They're written in a way where eventually operating costs are predictable and manageable. And they're written in a way where migration will get easier and easier and easier. And as the years go by, more and more of that market share pivots. And also the pie gets bigger and bigger, and the new people entering in were the first point of entry for various push and pull reasons. So it might take 3 to 5 years. Okay, 33 years old, very young guy. I can go and spend the better part of my 30s and 40s and 50s systematically marching. The key is not to lose the ground you've gained. And the key is to make sure you utilize the people in your ecosystem to their abilities and give them the tools that they need to be successful and realize their dreams. Because every one of those people will bring in 10 people or 100 people. It'll radically improve the virality of the entire system. That's the point. Not Homer Pepe, not yield farming, not $60 transaction fees, not some magic cure-all that'll somehow do this, or 1,000 TPS, or whatever fucking junk of the week happens to be. That's the key. Keep what you've gained. Make sure your churn rate is low. You have high virality. When people are in, there's something for them to do, and they love the things that they do, and they are emotionally connected to the ecosystem. They build friends in the ecosystem, and the things that they do are meaningful to them, their community, and to the world, in that order. As long as you have that, you'll always be around. Now, everything is just a matter of scale, and we live in an age of networks. If you can achieve that kernel and the virality, scale is inevitable. Does it truly matter if it takes 10 to 20 years for us to get to 1 billion people? Because we'll be at 1 billion people, 1/7 of the entire human population. Does it really matter if the next 1 billion people takes us another 10 years? No, because we'll be at 2 billion people, 1/3 of the entire world population. Does it really matter if it takes another 10 years to get us to 3 billion people? And anyway, stream is not so good because of the blizzard, but yeah, that's March weather in Colorado. We'll get there all. Take some time, but good things are coming. Tune in on the 25th. I think you'll be happy. And if you are interested in Plutus, the Pioneer programs will be announced, and sign up for that. Learn how to write code. And if you want to build some on Cardano, it's open for business. Go to Catalyst. $250 million available, and more coming for projects to be built. And we have a great community there. So that's the way I see it. I'm sorry if you don't see it that way, but it is what it is. There's over 8,000 cryptocurrencies led with very different philosophies and viewpoints. I plan things in the years to decades, and I look to the future, and I ask myself, what kind of world would I like to live in, and what do I view as sustainable and stable and useful? That is what we wake up, and our ecosystem wakes up every single day chasing. We don't particularly care about the market cap. We don't particularly care about the ebbs and flows of daily things, or chasing this fad pet rock or beanie baby. What we care about is saying we accomplished the mission. That's what we're always going to do. If you don't like it, there's plenty of other options. Go do those options. As long as I'm here, that's at least what my company is going to do and fight for and believe in. And reasonable people can disagree. Thank you so much for listening.